Hello everybody. I'm coming back to make a shades video using watercolors. You can see here I did my tints demo. I'm going to use that same paper. I'm going to leave that there. If you remember, a shade is a color mixed with black. So handy next to me I have some water. I have my red sable watercolor brush. I have my watercolor tray. I'm going to use blue this time, a cerulean blue with black. When I made my tints, I did not use white paint. I just used water. There's no need to use white with watercolor. You just have to dilute it with water. So I have my tubes of paint here that I've already squeezed out. So I'm going to make sure I have my paper towel handy and my water handy. I'm going to start at the top with the pure color out of the tube. That's called your hue. So I'm just going to take a little bit of water in my brush and I'm just going to take some of that color straight out of the tray here. And I'm going to start my first square to do my value scale making shades. So I'm going to get a little bit more water here. I'm going to kind of mix as I go. I may have gotten too much water, but I want this to be the pure color, not too watered down. I'm just using enough water to make it viscous, to make it flow better. And I can always come back in with more. I can always come back in with more color, more hue. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit more color in that square. I think I had a little bit too much water, and all I can do is just wait until that dries a little bit. And then I'll move on and then make sure I clean my brush if I want to come back to this one. So I can let that dry a little bit. So I'm going to add black for each square going down. So when you do tints and shades, you only use that one color. You're not mixing any other colors besides that one color. So here I had like a teal green, and all I did was add water. I didn't add any blue, any other green, any other colors. Here I've got my cerulean blue. I'm not going to use any more colors. I'm just making a shade. I'm just making it darker. I'm using the same color and I'm making it darker as I go. So I'm just going to pick up some black. Actually, I want my brush a little bit wetter. I'm going to pick up some black, not too much. You want to get it gradually darker as you go. And I think that's too much, but we can make this work. How can I fix that? Get more water and get more blue. Black is very strong, so you need to use a little bit at a time. So if that's a little bit too dark too soon, what I can do is clean my brush and my water that's next to me, and then start back over with some more of that blue. You don't want your brush too wet because it's just going to be diluted. And I think okay, this might work. So you have to kind of work with it. And I'm using more color, less water. And I can just kind of adjust as I go. So I need a little bit more color now. So I'm not even going to clean my brush. I'm just going to add blue. All right, now that's a little bit better. So I want to gradually get darker. So this blue should not look like that blue. Now, if that's not working for me with my strokes, I can let it dry a little bit, come back with a little bit of water on top. So I'm going to move to my next square. I need to get a little bit darker than that. So remember, I picked up a little bit too much black the first time, so I'm just going to take a little corner on my brush. That might be too much. Get a little bit more water, and let's try that again. You can mix as you go. Remember, the water will dilute it. I think that's a little bit too dark, so I'm going to get some more color here. Not dark enough still, but I'm laying in the color where I want it to go. And then I can just come back and adjust as I need to. So this needs to be darker than that. Let's get some more black. I'm using less water on this one than I did with the tints because I'm mixing the black with the color. That one, all I needed was water. And my brush is getting a little bit too dry. I don't want it sopping wet though, because if I get it too wet, it's gonna, see, it lightens it up. The water is gonna dilute it. The water is gonna work against you for the tints. It's gonna make it more gray or lighter. So you can even kind of treat this as acrylic almost. So I just want to come back in with just a little bit more black to counteract or to combat that water that I just put in there. You can kind of mix on the paper as you go. I'm getting a lot of strokes here. Okay, I'm not going to go any darker with that. I'm not going to go any further with the black here. So actually I could use just a little bit more blue in this one. Now that makes me feel a little better. And I could come in with water to smooth those out, but if I do, it might dilute it too much. So I have to be careful with the amount of water that I'm using. Mix your water with your paint, let it work together. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone because it's making too many strokes. That's a little bit darker than I would like. So I think I'm gonna come back in with some blue. Okay, so I'll leave that alone. See, I'll leave that alone. Now let's go a little bit darker. I'm not even gonna clean my brush. I'm just gonna add black. Add black to the bluish black that's already there. Now I'm gonna need some water for that, but not too much, remember, because it's going to dilute it and make it lighter than you want it to be. I want the integrity of the black, and I want the integrity of the blue still. So I'm just picking up a little bit more black, and I need a little bit more water, but like I said, I want to be careful with the amount of water. I need just enough to make it flow, not a wash like that. So with shades, we're going in the opposite direction. With the tints, we started out with a pure color and we got lighter as we went down adding water. Here, we started out with the pure color from the tube and we're trying to get darker as we go down. So it's the opposite. Now I can add black and blue. I don't want it all the way black. I still want to get a hint of that blue in there. Okay, I like that. It's almost turning a grayish. I wanted to start out with a color that was light enough to where you could see the change. If it started out really dark, you probably wouldn't be able to see the change with the shades. So I'm liking this. I don't want it to be all the way black. I want to be able to see that there's still some blue in there. Okay, so I think that is solidifying my point here. if I add water to try to blend all that, it's gonna lighten it up, and we don't want that. So I just wanted you to see the gradation from the pure color, the hue out of the tube, and as you gradually added black to get the shades with watercolor. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching.